Alright, I've wanted to do this video for a long time, but it's one of those videos that's just mind-numbingly annoying to have to record. So I'm sitting here in the middle of a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, so I hope you can hear me. I'm just testing, sort of recording this right now. If the audio's like manageable, I'm gonna put it out. If it's not, then I won't put it out. So let me know how you find the audio. But this is really about MSTY and how you buy MSTY if you are not a US or if you're in the European Union. But it's annoying because even in the UK, if you are a UK resident, you cannot buy MSTY. And the reason for that is because we are still, even after 9 years of leaving the EU, we're still tied up in EU regulation when it comes to financial markets, and the EU wants us. It's unbelievable. We cannot, as UK and EU residents, buy American ETFs, even though we've left the EU, until they file extra paperwork, translate their documents in each language, etc., etc. There's a whole bunch of other regulatory requirements. The Miffford rules are definitely annoying, and the reason for that is capital controls. They understand that the American capital markets are the best in the world. That's where everyone wants their capital, and if they actually had free trade on capital, then it would flood to the US. So there's absolute capital controls in the EU, and it's something that you've got to be aware of if you are looking for quote-unquote freedom, right, to some extent. Of course, moving to Dubai, here all I do is I change my address, send some proof of address to my broker account, and I can go in and buy any US ETF that I want because I'm no longer an EU resident or a UK resident. So it's quite annoying. Now, but the actual annoying thing about this is that there's still a workaround if you're rich enough, if you have the right advisors, if you understand how the market works, if you're sophisticated or whatever other bullshit, then there's workarounds. And of course, MSTY is gaining a lot of interest because my tweet that I put out that got, almost 800,000 views, people have realized that income is actually important. A lot of the old Bitcoin communities tend to think that income is not important, but they completely disregard a $300 trillion fixed income market. And so the reality is that income is very, very important to people. And of course, you shouldn't be buying income funds if you don't have one Bitcoin yet. I don't think anyone that isn't a millionaire should consider income funds, right? Because I think that what you need to do is work harder, get a better opportunity, get a better job, get a better business, whatever, and acquire that Bitcoin first, and then you can think about income. And of course, in our conversations that you and I have had on income funds, we're talking about 10%, right? We're talking about 10% of the fund, and really, this is the new Bitcoin standard, right? The new Bitcoin standard in portfolio management, when you think about how to structure a portfolio, which is, I think what Bitcoiners are going to have to... By the way, this is the conversation that we need to have and need to evolve. So please subscribe to the channel, because the faster you subscribe, the faster YouTube gets this content out in front of people. And what I want people to do is understand that there are tools and financial weaponry out there that you can actually utilize to hodl your Bitcoin longer and better. So, the new Bitcoin standard is your savings. This is how a portfolio is structured. You structure it with savings, you structure it with growth, and you structure it with income. And of course, your savings is your Bitcoin, your spot Bitcoin, or the ETF. And then your growth is something like that grows faster than that savings, right? So that would be like MSTR, for example, or some of the Bitcoin treasury companies. And then, of course, you have a small portion focused on income. And that income allows you to live, basically. It's how you turn your portfolio, quote-unquote, productive. And income funds, as you know, because you've watched all of my other videos religiously, of course, and subscribe to the channel to do that, of course, you know that the way that income works in these financial markets is that they're monetizing volatility on the underlying assets. So you've got MSTR, that volatility is monetized, and then MSTR is volatile because it has Bitcoin on the treasury, so therefore it's really the Bitcoin as the macro play. Now, the European Union and other places, but mainly the European Union, has caused this blockade with the Miffford rules, and that's the number one thing that should be repealed if we want the European Union and all of its subjects to thrive, because it basically blocks capital within the EU markets. You have to, what they're trying to do is say, you must invest in an EU registered fund which keeps money inside the EU, and then that EU fund can directly invest in the US fund, which will then basically, they make a rip off of that, right? So they'll charge you a 1.5% annual fee and then pay 25 basis points to the Americans, and it's just dumb. It's absolutely stupid. It's especially stupid when you realize that the way to circumvent it is extremely simple. So while you cannot go and buy an ETF, you can absolutely go and sell a put option and get assigned the ETF. So what I did for my people that are friends and whatever else is that they've basically sold put options for the purpose of getting assigned, and I'm not going to go into how to trade put options and whatever. I'm just telling you how this works. So do your own research, otherwise you will get completely and utterly screwed on how to use these options. But what they've basically done is they've sold put options on MSTY with 0 days to expiry, with the view to get assigned, and then they've gotten assigned and then they receive their dividend, which is, again, it's all designed for capital control. It's all designed to keep the normal person that wants just a simple life out of the game, and out of the potential benefits of MSCY. And it's of course all done in the name of safety and security and looking after you, right? So that's the way to do it. You sell a 0 days till expiry put, and you basically sell the put with the view to getting assigned, and that gives you your MSTY in Interactive Brokers or Charles Schwab or whatever broker account you use if you are an EU resident, and that's how you do it, right? It's extremely simple but complicated at the same time. So look, income funds have taken this whole sort of space by storm, and there's a lot of people talking about the fact that it's all a scam and everything else. And I was on a Twitter Spaces the other day, and the guys that basically execute trades for MSTY in this scenario, this is the income fund we're talking about, the company is called Tidal, TIDL, and the chief investment officer and the head trader of MSTY basically came on the Spaces and started talking about how these funds are used. So I'm going to post someone captured that little piece, so I want to share that with you. If you check the description in the video, I'm going to post the link to X where that segment is posted, so you can actually watch it and hear it from them how these funds actually work. This is the dumbest thing that I hear from Bitcoiners is that this is the same thing as BlockFi or Celsius or yield farming or DeFi and whatever else. And the moment a Bitcoiner says that, you just know that the intelligence level isn't really there, because the TradFi intelligence level really isn't there, and it's not their fault. People just have not been educated on these things. Income funds and the pursuit of income is responsible for protecting and investing $300 trillion worth of capital in the world. So, it's a big market. And again, Michael Saylor is trying to get access to that market by getting his debt graded as investment grade, which opens him up from a $400 billion convertible bond market to a $300 trillion fixed income market, which is why, in the earnings call, he said, write to your rating agency and email them and let them know to grade the MSTR debt. So this is the target focus of what what strategy is doing, and it's to tap into that fixed income market. And MSTY is, of course, generating premium by selling that volatility that MSTR is creating for its shareholders. So this is how it works. It's very, very simple, but very, very complicated at the same time. If you are in the UK and you want to get assigned or own MSTY, or in Europe, the way to do it is to sell basically a put option that forces assignment, and then you will get assigned 0 days to expiration. So you do basically on a Friday, right? You get assigned it, and then you start receiving the dividends. It's extremely simple, but it's designed to keep unsophisticated investors out of the market and basically block people from these opportunities that are available with innovative US funds, as long as the EU is not receiving its little rip off of your wealth as usual. So I hope that works. Let me know what the audio is like in here. As long as it sounds reasonable-ish to me, I'm going to put it out there. But apologies, because there's no lights, there's no mics, there's none of that stuff. So I'm just doing this straight off the laptop in the hyperbaric. But ultimately, subscribe to the channel, and there are always only 3 rules to Bitcoin. Step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy.